Welcome to the Beyond the Years podcast, a podcast about all things Disney. I am your host, as always, and my co-host is Ashley. Ashley, welcome.
Oh, welcome, everyone. That's Josh, by the way. You didn't say your name.
Oh, well, I'm Josh.
Today we're going to be talking about Disney World and all of the resorts. It's going to be a comprehensive list of literally all of the Disney World resorts on property and basically trying to help people choose what's going to be the best option for them since we are staying on property in September for our upcoming trip.
Yep. So excited.
But before we get started, kind of a big Disney World resorts announcement. Disney announced the closure of the Galactic Star Cruiser Resort, which is kind of attached to Hollywood Studios. It's going to be closing September 30th of this year, 2023, I believe. So if you're not aware, it's like a super mega expensive, unique experience. It's supposed to be like an all-inclusive experience where your resort is included. Obviously, you've got park tickets to Hollywood Studios and food is provided, as well as like different immersive like character interactions.
Yeah, it's like the Star Wars experience that like a Star Wars mega fan would want.
Yes, but I think they didn't do it the way that fans actually would have wanted, and there you don't actually get to meet like your favorite characters in the experience. But anyway, that's just kind of an announcement. You have anything else?
We are around 100 days away from our trip.
Heck yeah. I'm so excited.
Did you download the app?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
103 days, I believe, today from the time that we leave, and I'm ready to go.
Yep.
It's on the brain. We're thinking about it. We're talking about it all the time.
Yep.
I wish it was sooner, but
we've been taking a nice long walk every night to prep ourselves for the walks ahead.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting with a toddler trying to figure out that. But
yeah, we're still trying to decide if we want to take a stroller or if we just want to toddle him around because he likes sitting on my shoulders. So we're kind of like up in the air of trying to decide like, well, should we bring a stroller? Should we not bring a stroller? Should we see how the first day goes and then potentially buy a little cheap stroller at like Walmart or something when we're down there, or have one like delivered to our hotel or something? Mm-hmm. So we're kind of up in the air about that.
Yeah.
As of now, though, no stroller. We're just going to hoof it. Everyone's going to hoof it.
We'll see. I think a lot of people who bring toddlers always recommend having a stroller, like even if they don't use a stroller normally. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of people recommend to have a stroller just because it's so hot and you do so much walking. But again, TBD.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so let's get into today's topic, which is Disney World resorts.
Okay.
So we're going to try to simplify it as best we can. I am going to just talk about the value resorts, the moderate resorts, and the deluxe resorts. We're not going to be talking about like the villas and the like Cinderella's castle and all of the like really special ones. We're just going to be talking about like as a normal person who is going to Disney World, what your main options are going to be to help kind of simplify everything. We're going to talk about like the differences between them and pricing, and amenities and that kind of thing. And then also just like a list of what they are basically.
Yeah. This will be a very heavy Ashley talking episode, but I will put in my input because I do have the list pulled up on my computer so I can see what they look like and then influence my thoughts into this.
Okay, so first of all, we recommend staying on property if you're able to. I think Disney does a great job at giving you a lot of different options as far as pricing to make it affordable if you want to stay on property. There are a lot of amenities to staying on property, which we could talk about later. Mm-hmm. But I think overall, I think we definitely recommend staying on property if you're able to.
I think there's just something more magical I guess, about staying on property, because it keeps you, like you had said before, it keeps you in the Disney bubble. And like if you're going to Disney World and like you want the full Disney experience, then you might as well just stay on resort or like in the resort areas.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Or on Disney campus kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the value resorts first. So the value resorts are going to be the most affordable option if you are staying on property. They do vary as far as price depending on the time of year and how busy it is. And then you're also going to want to look out for like special discounts and that kind of thing if that's available. Mm-hmm. If it's your first time going to Disney World, I definitely recommend a travel agent. I've gone several times, but we're still using a travel agent just because there's so many new changes within the parks that you're probably going to want a little bit of help on. Yeah. But anyway, value resorts are going to be the most affordable option. Price range is kind of hard because you've got the all-star resorts, which are going to be like low end, roughly $100+ a night. Mm-hmm. But then you have Art of Animation, which is also technically a value resort, but it has the family suites, which go up to like $400 a night. So we've got quite a large price
discrepancy.
Yes. But I would say, like $100 to $300 a night roughly is going to be where you're going to be at ballpark for value resorts. The theming of all of the value resorts is very over the top, kid friendly, super Disney. Mm-hmm. Like when you think of Disney World, to me, I picture the parks, obviously, but when I picture like what a resort would look like at Disney World, to me, I picture big over the top animations, characters, and that's what you're going to find at the value resorts.
Yeah.
So to list the value resorts, we have the 3 all-star resorts, which are going to be usually your cheapest option. All-star movies, which if I stayed at an all-star resort, I think all-star movies would definitely be my choice. A lot of, again, over-the-top characters. They've got statues outside of Toy Story, of the 101 Dalmatians. Just really super fun, over the top. All-star sports, which meh to me. I mean, it's still cool. It's still staying on Disney, but it's a little bit less Disney because it's more of a sports theme. Mm-hmm. And then all-star music, which is super fun as well.
Yeah.
So we have the all-star resorts, Pop Century, which
we've stayed at
Pop Century. Pop Century is fun. It's designed throughout the different decades, so 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. And the different areas of the resort are themed to those decades. And then finally, we have Art of Animation, which is a little bit different, but we'll go ahead and talk about that. So Art of Animation does have standard rooms. They are Little Mermaid themed. So those rooms are going to be comparable to the price of the other value resorts. So the room size and what you get out of it is going to be very similar to Pop Century and the All-Star resorts. However, they do have family style suites, which are freaking amazing. So they have the Cars theme, Lion King theme, and Finding Nemo themed suites. And essentially it is exactly that. It's a suite. So instead of just your standard room where you have the beds, the bathroom area, you also have like a lounge area with couches. You have another separate room. I think they even have 2 bathrooms in there. I have to look into that further, but it's basically like
a tiny apartment.
Yeah, it's kind of like an apartment. And there's just a lot more room. So if you have more than a few people, or maybe you're taking a trip with your friends, or maybe it's like 2 families, it's a really great option. Mm-hmm. But the theming of those is incredible as well. They are more expensive. So the pricing of the suites is going to be more comparable to like the high, moderate, or just deluxe resort pricing. So if you're really wanting that Disney theming, but you've got a big group of people, Art of Animation family style suites are maybe the way to go, but they are a little bit more expensive.
We are staying in the Little Mermaid rooms, right?
Yes. So we're staying at Art of Animation, which to me is like a dream. I'm so excited. We are staying in the standard room because we didn't want to spend the extra for the family style suites. Although, like, if I was planning a perfect Disney World vacation, I would say probably staying in the family style suites would be like my perfect vacation. But we are still staying at Art of Animation, which is very, very exciting.
Oh yeah, and it looks super cool.
It's
we walked over when we stayed at Pop's Entry. We walked to Art of Animation, and it's super cool. But actually getting to stay there will be a totally different story. And honestly, like, in the future, I think I'd rather stay there than go to like another resort, other than like Animal Kingdom Lodge, like, because I really like Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. But then when I was doing research on all of these different resorts, I was looking at pictures of all of them, and some of these resorts we're going to talk about in a minute are just stunningly beautiful, like crazy, but also not necessarily like kid oriented. So that's one of the things about the value resorts is that they are very kid oriented, very kid theming. So a lot of like the characters are going to be like designed everywhere. You've got big over the top statues, and it's just like bright and colorful.
Yeah.
So very kid oriented. But the moderate and the deluxe resorts are going to be a little bit more oriented for adults. You can still stay there with your kids. Obviously, you can do whatever you want. But those value resorts are more like kid friendly.
Gotcha.
Okay, so couple of things to keep in mind with the value resorts, just so that you have like a full picture of everything that you're going to be getting. They all have exterior entrances. So it's going to be more of like a motel style. Now, some of the moderate resorts also have exterior entrances, but with all of the value resorts, every single one of them has an exterior entrance, which is not something that I care about even in the slightest. But it's basically like a motel. Yeah. You walk up, you enter your room through the outside. Versus some of your deluxe resorts, you like physically go into a lobby and then go to your room from the inside.
Yeah, like you're saying it like a Holiday Inn.
Yeah, it's a small detail, but it's something that you maybe want to be aware of. And then food is a big thing. So all of the value resorts, well, blanket statement, all of the resorts have food options. Okay, so you're not going to starve. They all have food options. The value resorts have cafeteria style food options versus the moderate and deluxe resorts have like restaurants. The value resorts have a cafeteria style. There's still a lot of great food options there. They have like a snack area where you can like go pick pastries and snacks. And then they also have like pizza. It's just cafeteria style. So it's something to consider. It's going to be a little bit less formal. So that's going to be with all of the value resorts. They have a cafeteria style food. And then another thing that's kind of a big factor with the value resorts is that they just have pools, which you might not think about. I don't know. When you have kids, that's a kind of interesting thing about the value resorts versus the moderate and deluxe, because the moderate and deluxe are more designed for adults, but their pools are way better. So the moderate and deluxe resorts have better pools. They have slides, they have splash pads. It's like really big over the top designs. But the value resorts are just pools. Now, I think they're still cool. They're still designed. Your kids are still probably going to have a great time, but they're not going to be like, you're not going to have like water slide, water park vibes. It's just a pool.
So what you're saying is your value resorts are going to be the toddler friendly resorts.
Yeah.
And then the more moderate resorts are going to be the more like
teenager stuff.
Like, yeah.
I mean,
preteen, that kind of thing.
I'm not telling people what to do. It's just, this is what it kind of seems like.
Yeah. No, I get it.
So
stepping away from the less kiddie.
Yeah. And it's the pool thing is not something that I knew about until recently, and I didn't put two and two together. Like, oh, the moderate and deluxe resorts all have like cool water slides and really cool pools, and then the value resorts just have pools. And then also gift shops, pretty much every single resort's going to have a gift shop. So the Art of Animation gift shop is crazy cool. But basically every single gift shop is going to be themed to that resort. And it'll have some special merchandise that is themed to the resort. Like we're saying at Art of Animation, there'll probably be Art of Animation t-shirts, Art of Animation cups, that kind of thing. You can go to any resort and go to the food. You can go to the gift shops, whatever, at any resort. And then really the last thing for the Valley Resorts, check out to see if they have an arcade. That might be kind of fun.
Yeah, ours has the Pixel Play arcade.
Mm-hmm. I'm relatively sure that almost all of them have an arcade, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
And we have a jogging trail and a playground and what is this? Movie Under the Stars, which I don't know if other ones
Basically,
have that
they
as
play
well.
movies in the evenings.
Oh,
Like you can
gotcha.
you can sit out and they play a movie on like a big screen, and it's
Gotcha.
kind of fun. We might try that this time around.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, that is pretty much everything to do with the value resorts. So next we're going to move on to the moderate resorts.
Go.
The moderate resorts are going to be more expensive than the value resorts and obviously less expensive than the deluxe resorts. As far as amenities, you're going to get roughly the same thing as the deluxe resorts. You're going to get the cool pools with like slide options, splash pads, that kind of thing. It's going to feel more like a water park than just a pool. And then we're starting to get into like restaurants actually being inside of the resorts.
Okay, so do you have a list of these resorts?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we have Caribbean Beach, Coronado Springs, the cabins at Fort Wilderness, and then we have Port Orleans Riverside and Port Orleans French Quarter. And these resorts are so beautiful. They're stunning. I actually made a YouTube video on my personal YouTube channel, kind of that was basically the same as this, just kind of talking about the resorts and pros and cons of everything. And in doing that, I did a lot of research to see pictures and make connections. And man, these resorts are beautiful. And some of the pools are like super cool. And that's one thing that you don't get, because when you're staying on property, you can go visit any resort and you can go eat, at the restaurants and the resorts. You can go shop the gift shops. You can walk over there, but you're not allowed to use the pools. So you have to be staying on
The Wilderness
that
Lodge
resort.
looks really cool.
Yeah. Totally different vibe, but you have to be staying in that actual resort to use that pool, or you're supposed to if you're following the rules.
The Wilderness Resort reminds me of Bass Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Staying at like Bass Pro shops.
Yes, and we actually have a deluxe resort, which we'll talk about in just a minute. That's even more like Bass Pro-esque. It's called Wilderness Lodge.
Oh, that's what I'm looking at right
You're
now.
looking at, yeah. So the cabins at Fort Wilderness are actual like little kind of trailer looking cabins
Oh, there it is.
that you kind of walk to. Yeah.
Oh, those are so cool. But the big one was like way.
Yeah.
It looks like what is it? The Big Bear Lodge down here in Branson.
Big Cedar Lodge.
Big Cedar Lodge. Yeah.
Anyway, so the moderate resorts are going to be more expensive than the value resorts, less expensive than the deluxe resorts. As far as price range, roughly probably $300 to $500 per night. But again, prices change seasonally, and Disney is always doing things with pricing and special promotions and that kind of thing. So again, if you're not sure, maybe talk to a travel agent to see if there's any specials and deals. Sometimes they'll include specific resorts only in different promotions. So again, that's something to look forward to. That's pretty much it for the moderate resorts.
So, if we were to stay at a moderate resort, where would you rather stay? Disney's Port Orleans or the French Quarter or the Riverside?
Ooh.
So I'm looking at I'm looking at the French Quarter right now. It looks pretty interesting.
Well, if I'm staying at a moderate resort, Coronado Springs maybe. They have a really cool pool. So, yeah, I would probably do Coronado Springs because it's very like beachy and the pool is awesome.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks like very themed as like Epcot, kind of.
Yeah. I think Coronado Springs is beautiful. Or the Caribbean beach. I don't know. One of those two. I don't think I would choose the Port Orleans resorts, just me personally. But this is the part where it's like,
what was the other one? You'd say at?
Either Caribbean Beach or Coronado Springs. Both of them have a really cool pools.
Okay.
And I just like the overall theming. But this is where we get into more what is like your dream. When
gotcha.
you think of like a fantasy or like just a magical vacation, what do you picture? So for some people, that's going to be Port Orleans Riverside. That's not necessarily my vision, but I would be more of like a Caribbean Beach, Coronado Springs person. So this is the part where what I would probably recommend is figuring out what's the most important thing for you and your family and your vacation. A lot of times it's going to start with your budget. So like for us, budget was a big factor. We would have loved to stay in the family style suites at Art of Animation, but that's a huge price discrepancy between just like the standard room. So for a lot of people, it starts with budget. If you're wanting to get that like really whimsical feel, but you can't afford deluxe, Mater is the way to go. It's going to have a lot of the same amenities.
Yeah, or if you stay for like a less amount of time and you don't go to all the parks, you could probably stay in a more expensive hotel too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different factors to take into account.
Because I know some people like, example, our travel agent, Megan, her husband or fiance and her dad went to Disney World, but it was only for 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes a big difference because the less amount of time you stay, the less you're going to be spending on a resort. But it's kind of like, as far as price for the
tickets,
it actually, once you hit like 4 days,
it goes down.
It's like cheaper.
Yeah, but if you can't stay,
so there's pros and cons to staying a longer amount of time.
Yeah,
but and you don't have to necessarily stay at the same resort for your whole trip. That's something that I have never done that before. I don't know necessarily that I would want to do that because it kind of seems like work to like have to pack everything up and move.
Yeah.
But that is an option.
Yeah, especially like if you're we're going for what, 5 days?
Yeah.
So on day 3, it's like, oh, we got to pack up and go to this next area.
Yeah, but if you are staying for like 2 weeks, so a lot of people who come from Europe take like 2-week-long vacations.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So that would make sense to me if they wanted to do like 1 week at one resort and 1 week at another resort. Yeah. That makes more sense, but just it's an option for people.
I didn't even think about that.
So let's talk about the deluxe resorts, the fancy ones. Okay, so first and foremost, probably our favorite deluxe resort, Animal Kingdom Lodge. I mean, wow. So with the deluxe resorts, obviously you're going to be spending more per night. The price range kind of varies depending on the season again, but it's going to be more than the value and more than the moderate resorts.
But wow, you get a hell of a view.
Yeah. It's probably, I would say like $400 to $700 per night, depending on the season. Right. I mean, it's just like if you're going during like peak time when they're like booked up, it's going to be more expensive.
Yep.
Versus like we chose a time that is going to be less busy. So they offered like a room discount for our resort. But anyway, Animal Kingdom Lodge, stunning. You actually have, if you get a safari view room,
which means you get
which by the way, you need to request that. So if you're looking for something very specific out of your resort, like if you want a pool view or you want to be looking at the safari in this case, you're going to have to request that and it's going to cost you more money. So you have like your standard view rooms, you have like your pool view rooms, sometimes you have a garden view. In this case, you have a safari view. So you have to request that and it's going to cost you more money.
Dang.
Yeah. Sometimes you might get lucky and it be like right on the corner where they didn't want to charge people for a safari view. Anyway,
Well, maybe just stay one night and then go back to the value resort.
So the rooms themselves are not that much more special in my opinion.
No, they're not. They just look like it just looks like a normal room, but like fancier stuff.
It's all like pretty standard sizing,
Mm-hmm.
beds, the whole nine. It's pretty standard. Okay, then we have the beach club and the yacht club, the boardwalk, the contemporary, which
is that the big one?
That's the one where the monorail goes through.
Into?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we have the Grand Floridian,
which we ate at.
Mm-hmm. Very fancy. The Polynesian or the Poly, Wilderness Lodge, and soon to be gone, the Galactic Star Cruiser. So, again, we've kind of talked about this at depth already, but with the deluxe resorts, you're going to get more fine dining options. These are going to be some of your like more signature dining meal options. So, there's not much to say about that. It's going to be fancy. Man, very fancy.
Just the, I think I'd rather stay at Wilderness Lodge.
Ew, than Animal Kingdom Lodge?
Than Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Not my vibe.
It looks so interesting.
I really liked Animal Kingdom Lodge as opposed.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since we went, but it looks really cool.
Yeah. I have a hard time. I think with the deluxe resorts, if I had to choose one, because I'm with you, what would probably happen is we'd stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge. But if it was just me deciding, I would probably choose the Polynesian. Because it's freaking...
The Polynesian Village Resort?
Stunning.
What's the villas and bungalows? What are those?
That's the part where I talked about this is a normal people podcast for normal people things.
Yeah, I know. But
and the villas are expensive as heck.
Oh. Is it like a little house kind of thing?
It's... Like, you know, when you see those people on Instagram, the Instagram people who post pictures like in the Maldives.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no. We can't afford that.
Yeah, I know. I get that.
Anyway, so that's a whole extra thing.
Does the monorail go through
it goes through it goes through the Contemporary. However, the Grand Floridian, I believe, and the Polynesian are really close to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, it says Disney's Polynesian Resort is an easy ride to Magic Kingdom Park. And just one transfer from Epcot.
Yeah, but do you see the Polynesian and you're looking at pictures?
Yep.
Oh my God. So pretty. So pretty. But long story short, with the deluxe resorts, it's going to be fancy. You're going to get the restaurants, the gift shops are going to be, fancy. As far as entering your room, it's going to be through, like, you have to enter the actual resort and go to your room that way, as opposed to like an exterior entrance. Mm-hmm. The pools and splash pads are going to be super cool, very fancy. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's fancy. It is very expensive, so you get fancy stuff. I know that when we ate inside of the Grand Floridian and we walked in, there was someone playing the piano.
Yeah, that was really peaceful.
Was like, oh my God, this is like...
So the Grand Floridian and the Polynesian Resort are like right next to each other, practically.
Yeah.
On that big lake.
I will say, I want to possibly like go into the Polynesian Resort. I think Ohana, the restaurant, is inside of the Polynesian. Mm-hmm. I just really want to go in there this time.
Oh, I think we'd... Well, the monorail drives past it.
Right. But anyway, so that's kind of an overhaul of all of the resorts, pricing, what you get, that kind of thing. But I will say one last thing to consider. If you have a favorite park, let's just say, for example, we've kind of talked about this. Let's just say, for example, you like Magic Kingdom the best, and you're probably going to be going to that park the most. You might want to consider what resorts are going to be closer to Magic Kingdom. Mm-hmm. So like if you are going to go to Magic Kingdom 3 days out of your 5-day trip, you don't want to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge because it's like a 25-minute ride over there. If you take the bus systems.
Yeah.
So just kind of think about that.
Plan ahead.
Like for us, we kind of just lucked out because Art of Animation is close to Hollywood Studios and Epcot. Probably the 2 parks we're going to be at the most. We're probably just going to spend a couple hours at Animal Kingdom, and then we'll spend a day at Magic Kingdom, but Epcot and Hollywood Studios, that's our vibe this trip.
Yeah.
We're thinking.
Yeah.
So we're staying at Art of Animation, which has the Skyliner direct access to it, which is also something we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
Some resorts is transportation, right? So Skyliner resorts, I believe it's Pop Century, Art of Animation, Coronado Springs, something like that. But basically it just gives you access to Hollywood Studios and Epcot. But all of the resorts have bus systems, which is free if you're staying on property, which is a big pro to staying on property, is that you're not going to have to pay for parking at the parks. You just take the bus there, take the bus back, drops you right off at the door basically.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Note to that, the better resort you get, the closer you are to the park. Of
course, that's part of you'll notice, like if you're staying at a value resort, you're probably going to have to walk a little bit longer to get to your bus stop versus like the deluxe resorts going to be like the first like little area is going to be like the very expensive resorts. So, I mean, they're still all amazing. Like if you're able to go to Disney World and you're able to stay on property, you're going to have a great time no matter what.
Yeah. I just remember that whenever we left Magic Kingdom that one night.
Yeah.
That was a long night.
And like Disney Springs too, I think. Basically,
yeah, something like that.
Because Disney Springs has access, obviously a bus system to take you to each resort, which I guess all of them do, but all of the parks do. But Disney Springs, you have to walk all the way to the end to get to your value resort stops.
Yeah,
but it's just something to consider. So I don't know. Hopefully, this was like helpful to people, but I would still say.
Get a travel agent.
Definitely get a travel agent. Yes, get a travel agent. Probably start with budget. And probably try to stick with that budget. Because like it would be very easy to do some research on the deluxe resorts and see how beautiful they are. And then, before you know it, you've clicked and you've purchased the deluxe package. So maybe try to stick to your budget. That's a big thing.
Yeah. Or if you're going to do that, save like 2 years in advance to book it.
Disney is very expensive. No way around that. But anyway, so those are the Disney World resorts. I don't know what else to say. That's pretty much everything. Hopefully this was helpful.
Yeah. You did a lot of talking. Congratulations.
I know. I'm like ready to do our next podcast.
Yeah.
We've got a lot going on as far as like the podcast because we started a Marvel rewatch. We started that, and then out of nowhere, where did that even come from? Where you started like watching Star Wars?
I don't know. I was bored one night and I just wanted something on, so I just turned it on.
Yeah, so now we're like into a Star Wars rewatch too. So
sometimes I just want to turn something different on.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I haven't watched the original trilogy in a hot minute.
Well, like 6 months ago, we started a Star Wars rewatch. And we watched the prequels.
Yep.
And then we just stopped because like life happened. And I think it was probably around Christmas, maybe before Christmas time.
Yeah, before Christmas, I'd say.
Yeah. And so for me, that was very crazy.
Yeah.
With work and everything, but I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. We watched 4, 5, and 6.
I'm kind of in a Star Wars mood now, but that we also had already started our series, the Marvel rewatch series. So we've got to do that.
Yeah. But also, Ashley finally watched the
Rise of
Skywalker.
Yeah. So the movie came out 4 years ago and I had never seen it.
Yeah.
And we watched it last night. And
Oh yeah,
we watched it last night and then we finished it this morning. It honestly, it blew my mind. So we're going to have to talk. It blew my mind in a lot of ways, some really good ways, some kind of bad ways, but we'll definitely have to, pick up our Star Wars rewatch and break it down one film at a time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then ranking the trilogies, possibly, which is going to be very challenging. But anyway, you have that to look forward to. Thank you guys for listening today. Thank you for being here. If you enjoy this podcast, help support us by liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing on whatever platform you are listening, and we will talk to you real soon.